what's crazy? I filmed this video yesterday and literally overnight, Tesla and Elon Musk came out and said that they dropped 1.5 billion US dollars into Bitcoin, and Tesla also revealed that it plans to accept Bitcoins as a form of payment in the near future. The biggest vote of confidence the crypto market has received yet. At the time that I am filming this now in my editing stage, Bitcoin's sitting at over 62,000 Australian dollars. Hey guys, it's Taylor, and on this channel I make videos about health, wellness, spirituality and leveling up in your life. In this video, I aim to bring more awareness around Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency space, and I'll also be sharing with you 5 reasons why I'm buying Bitcoin. I won't go into altcoins, I'll just stick with Bitcoin for now, and I'll be linking everything I mention throughout this video in the description. Everything will be linked in the description box below. Before we get started, a really ultra big disclaimer, okay? Regulations around cryptocurrency vary according to where you live in the world. Make sure you comply to your national regulations, and for more information about Australian regulations, visit the Australian Securities and Investment Commission, otherwise known as ASIC, and the ATO. This is not financial advice. I am not a financial professional. I didn't even take a class of economics, and I did arts at uni. So everything I'm sharing with you is just what I've gathered from research and what friends have told me and family have told me, and also just, you know, the internet and also my perspective and my journey learning about this area of life. Do your own research before you invest in anything. Seek advice from a financial professional, and also take into consideration that if you invest in anything, there is always some risk involved to varying degrees. Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is a volatile market. A general rule of thumb in investing is to never invest more than you're willing to lose. So that is a disclaimer. And also, just on the arts grad note, if someone like me who did film at uni is suggesting you look into Bitcoin, you probably should have bought Bitcoin 5 years ago. Also, just before we get started, I would like to welcome all of my new subscribers to my channel that may have found me through Dr. Leah Venus. Thank you so much for taking the time to check out my channel. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please like it if you do like it so far, and if you haven't subscribed already, why don't you click the sub button and the notification bell, because I'll be making videos 2 to 3 times a week. Now that I've done the disclaimer housekeeping thing and I've told you I'm not a financial planner, I am going to change into something that suits this video a lot more, that's a little bit more matrix themed, because Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is going to allow us to get out of the matrix, in my humble opinion. I'm going to get changed and I'll see you in a moment. Hello, matrix outfit theme here. I'm back. What is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency run on a bunch of nodes all across the world, and these nodes are run by miners who secure the network as well as mine themselves new Bitcoin. All the servers across the world have to agree on the transaction that is happening before it actually gets passed through, and that is why Bitcoin is famous for getting rid of the problem of double spending. The system is decentralized, and no government, institution or single entity can seize control of it. For example, let's think hypothetically here. Let's say one country's government decides to ban Bitcoin in their nation state. Bitcoin is a global network, so even if one singular entity bans Bitcoin, people would probably still be able to access Bitcoin, unless maybe for some reason the internet gets shut down. But if the internet gets shut down, those people probably have more problems than not accessing their Bitcoin. There'd be a lot of other big things there at play. And if the internet came back on after this hypothetical scenario, their Bitcoin would still be there in the network. Little history lesson here. The cryptocurrency was created anonymously in January 2009. The creator or creators go by the name Satoshi Nakamoto. No one actually knows who it is, and one of my favorite theories is that it's Elon Musk. He denied this in 2017, but I I still think it's pretty funny. You'll also hear of Bitcoin divisions being referred to as Satoshis. So in one whole Bitcoin, there are 100 million Satoshis. Now that we've established that Bitcoin is digital gold, we will go into the reasons why I myself am actually buying Bitcoin. Why am I buying Bitcoin? Number one, I like money and I like all the things that money can buy me. For example, date syrup and vegan Doc Martens. So what I've been doing as a self-proclaimed basic bitch and responsible 23-year-old is allocating a small portion of my income to buying cryptocurrency. And I'm hoping as I accumulate this asset, the value of this asset will also grow, hence I make money. I really did need a lot of money to start this process, and I will go more into dollar cost averaging later on in the video. But just to sum it up, I guess this is my shortest point, and I just like money and I think that Bitcoin's gonna go up. Don't take my word for it, but I'm really hoping that the value of my assets increase over time. The second reason I'm buying Bitcoin is because it has a long history of going up over time. I actually understand it and I can comfortably buy it in a long-term buy and hold strategy. The only advice I'd give here is that you actually do your research, educate yourself, seek professional advice if you need to, do your research about what the coins are before you actually buy them. Cryptocurrency is a volatile and ever-changing landscape. It's a 24-hour market as well. I'm not into day trading at this stage because I really like sleeping and I don't want to have to get up at 3 a.m. when the market's pumping and I have to get out of the trade. So for the moment, all I'm doing is I'm buying and holding. If you do decide to do the day trade thing, just prepare yourself for a 24-hour rollercoaster ride. Before we even get into altcoins, I just want to cover something about Bitcoin. You might have heard it a lot in the media. You might have heard it as being, you know, the thing that made someone a millionaire, a billionaire, or you might have heard of it as it being a scam. It does have quite a big reputation for itself, and even with the reputation, whichever side of the media you decide to believe, you do need to go and do the research for yourself. If you do buy into all the Bitcoin hype and you do want to go and purchase Bitcoin, just make sure you're not going to go and buy Bitcoin Cash. It sounds like Bitcoin, but it's actually not the same thing as Bitcoin. It is a spin-off and it's a fork from the original coin. It also wouldn't hurt a little bit to learn about some other general trading principles and become a little bit more financially literate. And I also suggest you get to know a little bit of the terminology. Do you know what an asset is? What is a liability? What is a head and shoulders pattern? A bear market? A bull market? What is the fear greed index? You don't need to know these things right off the bat, but it really does help you in the long run. I know that knowing these terms have really helped me to differentiate between the self-proclaimed experts and influencers on social media who just throw a bunch of buzzwords together just to get you and your money in. Also, there are people out there that just want to hype the market for their own benefit, so also be wary of them. And then there are the people who actually know what they're talking about, and you'll be able to pick up on that pretty quickly. Now, I know that can sound a little bit ironic because I am making this video for social media, but the only reason that I'm making this video is that I found I'm explaining it a lot to like friends my age, and I really wanted to make this so I don't have to continue repeating myself. I can just refer my friends to this video. I also want to talk about Bitcoin to an audience that potentially have never heard of it before, and to give them a very big, wide perspective of what it is and how it could potentially help them. The altcoin market is extremely volatile, and I'm still learning about how things like Ethereum and Ripple work. The altcoins usually follow Bitcoin in price, but you do need to be aware that not all altcoins are decentralized like Bitcoin, and they can be quite random at times. For example, Dogecoin is a meme coin. I couldn't believe it was a real thing when I first heard it. I think it was started as a joke, and if you have a look at its market cap, you'll be quite surprised, and Elon Musk has been talking about it a lot. So that's my favorite coin. I don't own any Dogecoin, but I just think it's hilarious that it's a real thing. The third reason I'm buying into Bitcoin is that I personally found it easier to dollar cost average into the crypto market because the crypto exchanges generally come with a dynamic fee. Last year I graduated from uni, and as a typical student I didn't exactly have 20 grand to go and drop into an investment. I didn't start off with a lot of capital, and to buy into the normal stock market you generally have to pay a flat rate. Now, that flat rate can be quite high at times depending on where you're buying stocks, and it can also eat into quite a large percentage of your profits. So when I learned about cryptocurrency, I realized that I could easily dollar cost average in and not have a bunch of fees kind of hammer away my profits. For example, CoinJar is a really great exchange in Australia that does come with the small dynamic fee depending on how you're depositing funds and what you're buying into, and also a small dynamic fee if you decide to send your cryptocurrency to other wallets. Other legit cryptocurrency exchanges in Australia include Binance and SwiftX. Although again, you do have to have a thorough look at all the fine print and also take your security very seriously. I will also be linking a tutorial for anyone interested who wants to open a CoinJar account. Just be mindful that you do have to have your ID on hand, and it does take a couple of days to process because they have to verify your identity and that you're an actual person. What is dollar cost averaging, you may ask? There are a lot of complicated answers out there, especially when I looked it up for this video, and I didn't really want to shout a bunch of words at you, so I'm going to try and give the best, shortest explanation I can. Economics majors, please don't come after me, I'm trying my best. So dollar cost averaging is when you figure out a percentage of your weekly income to put away into an asset like cryptocurrency, stocks, anything that's going to make you money in the long run. Just a note here, an asset is something that makes you money in the long run. I saw this on social media somewhere that they said their car was an asset. I think some banks may class a car as an asset because it does store some level of value, but your car really isn't your asset because it depreciates in value over time a lot compared to when you first bought it. It also costs money for registration, and you also need to fix the car when it breaks down. So that's my quick rant over your car is no asset, and I will go back to dollar cost averaging. Okay, so work out your percentage of your weekly income that you want to put into Bitcoin or an asset, etc. So say you work it out that you can comfortably put $100 away into an asset. For the example, let's say Bitcoin, and say you're using CoinJar. Now again, these conversion rates fluctuate, so you do need to just check when you do the transaction because it's not always 1%, it's around 1%. But say you want to put $100 in, just for this example, say that CoinJar charges you 1% for the transaction to put your AUD into Bitcoin. And now you have 99 AUD in the conversion rate of Bitcoin at the time of trading, depending on where it's at in the market. So if you decide to do that every single week, maybe you pick a different time throughout the week according to what the market's doing, but if you stick to just putting some money away into that asset every single week, then you're gonna, before you know it, accumulate quite a lot. I've been accumulating Bitcoin in a similar way by dollar cost averaging. If I see it's down one particular week, I will dollar cost in that day. So dollar cost averaging makes it a lot more achievable for me to get into the market. So I'm not freaking out when the market's crashing. I actually end up buying more if the market's crashing because I haven't decided to buy in at all-time highs. And when it is really hyped up, that I don't need to buy a bunch at once. I could just buy a little bit because I'm still accumulating, but those big spikes aren't going to affect me as much emotionally and psychologically. I just want to chill and take things slowly because that's the best thing for me financially right now. Which brings me to my next point. Reason number 4. I want to get into Bitcoin early. I believe it's still early days, and I'm in it for the long run. I sincerely believe that Bitcoin was created for humanity, and technology is changing at such rapid ways that I think it's going to become so embedded in our society as time moves on. I also see it as a hedge against the current financial system. So I kind of look at where Bitcoin is now, kind of like what the internet was 30 years ago. It's still kind of forming. That's why we have so many altcoins, I guess. Who knows where it's going to go in the future. At the moment, I'm using Signal, which is a messaging app built on blockchain software, and it encrypts your messages, so it's not taking your data as far as I'm aware, and that is created on blockchain technology. So who knows what's going to happen in the future. And for those who don't know this already, a little bit more of Bitcoin history. The first Bitcoin block was mined on the 3rd of January 2009, block 0. This is known as the Genesis block and contains the text, "The Times 3rd of Jan 2009, Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks," perhaps as proof that the block was mined on or after that date, and perhaps also as relevant political commentary. You can also have a look at the white paper published by Satoshi Nakamoto. He, she, they, whoever they are, outlined a lot of the problems with our current financial global system. I know that we've all lived through some really crazy economic crises. For example, in Iceland, the banks shut down. I also remember seeing Greece on the news, as well as living through the GFC, and also, how can we forget, the COVID crash last year that we're all still recovering from. I also think it's important to mention here that there are only going to be 21 million Bitcoins mined, ever. And that's estimated to be completed by the year 2140. And as we get closer to that date, it's going to become increasingly harder for the miners to mine that Bitcoin. Obviously, as the supply decreases, the demand increases, and in point number 5, I will tell you why I think the demand's going to increase. But anyway, as the supply decreases, demand goes up, the price will also go up. So Bitcoin is a hedge against inflation, as the miners just can't simply print Bitcoin into oblivion. Just before we continue, I'd really like to acknowledge that general association between Bitcoin, the dark web, illegal transactions, and money laundering. Yes, there is anonymous transactions in Bitcoin. That is the nature of the whole system. I think if people are disregarding Bitcoin for that reason, that is super silly, because fiat and money and cash in general are also used for illegal activity, money laundering, and the dark web. And my 5th and final point is that I think Bitcoin's undervalued, and that it's going through a process of legitimization via big companies and big institutions that are going to integrate the currency into our everyday lives. For all the US viewers out there, I will show you this article, this random article that says who accepts Bitcoin. Cool, we have Microsoft, Overstock, not quite sure what that is, Home Depot, Namecheap, Starbucks, there's a few terms and conditions around that, Whole Foods as well. I'm pretty sure I've only just scratched the surface of what's going on over there. But I also found this really random article of like Bitcoin Australia and where you can use Bitcoin. A list of retailers who accept Bitcoin in Australia. It's so random, like these random places in Sydney, the Metropolitan Hotel. Yeah, just like all these random bars and restaurants that take it, which is pretty cool. And a dental place. What? And there's also this place in Melbourne as well. Coffee brewers, nice. Bike factory outlet. Yeah, so as you can see, there's like a bunch of places that take Bitcoin as well. Yep, it just keeps going. But this article I'm showing you now shows that people are now putting their houses up for sale with cryptocurrency, which is really cool. If you still aren't taking Bitcoin seriously, I think you need to know that Visa backs the first ever credit card to offer Bitcoin rewards. Visa and BlockFi partnered to release the Bitcoin Rewards Visa credit card, which is the first card to offer Bitcoin rewards, updated Friday, Jan 29th, 2021. So this is pretty recent. If you've never heard of BlockFi before, definitely look into it. Do the numbers to see if any of these things are right for you. I think it's really cool that Visa and BlockFi are getting together to create this credit card, which is going to be released in the States. I don't think it's on the cards for Australia anytime soon, but I hope that changes as time goes on. And also in the US, they announced that PayPal users can buy, sell, and hold select cryptocurrencies directly through PayPal using their Cash or Cash Plus account. They'll be able to learn about crypto, track crypto prices without leaving the PayPal app. PayPal also announced that it will enable cryptocurrency as a funding source for purchases in 2021, allowing users to use their cryptocurrency holdings to make purchases as its network of more than 26 million merchants. Once launched in 2021, when a consumer selects cryptocurrency as the funding source, the cryptocurrency will be instantly converted to fiat currency and the transaction will be settled with the PayPal merchants in fiat currency. I hope that comes to Australia sometime soon. And every time these companies come out with these announcements, Bitcoin tends to go a bit nuts. So I'll be sitting back pretty happy with all my purchases in Bitcoin. I think we're living in a technological and financial revolution. I'm really excited to see where everything in this space goes, but also just for like your safety, if this is the first time that you've ever come across Bitcoin, I do just want to read out some common modes of theft, just so you can be a little bit more aware of where you're going. Here we can see the common modes of Bitcoin theft. So one of the most common modes of Bitcoin theft include the following: stealing private keys, exploiting wallet vulnerabilities, operating fraudulent exchanges and investment funds. I'd like to stress that's where you need to do the research, and you really need to tick all the boxes before you go and put your money. For instance, a boutique Bitcoin investment fund called Bitcoin Savings and Trust made a name for itself in the early 2010s by providing outsized returns to early investors. However, Bitcoin Savings and Trust was actually a run-of-the-mill Ponzi scheme. When it went belly up, it wiped out about 4.5 million at the current exchange rates of the time in investor value. So do your research. Also, attacking legitimate exchanges directly. So there's a saying, not your keys, not your crypto. So when you have your crypto on something like a ledger, you have 12 to 24 words, which are your keys. On a lot of exchanges, you don't actually have these keys. So there's a saying, not your keys, not your crypto. So just be aware of that. Attacking legitimate exchanges directly. So since they attract thousands of users and store millions of dollars in Bitcoin, they are attractive targets. So to be wary. If you do have a large amount of money on an exchange, maybe it's time to think of a ledger. Attacking dark market web places. But I mean, we can all agree, just don't go on the dark web. Strategies for reducing security risk. Number 1, securing your private keys. Use highly secure Bitcoin wallets. Researching Bitcoin exchanges and other services. And like I said before, avoid using the dark web. Okay, so now I've covered kind of the dark side of Bitcoin as well as the light, because there is that in all of us. Just to recap, my first reason is that I like to make money. My second reason is that I understand how it works and I will not purchase a coin I don't understand. My third reason, cryptocurrency exchanges make it a lot easier to dollar cost average in due to the dynamic fees on crypto exchanges. Reason number 4, it's still early days in my opinion, and I want to get in early. I really believe in it, and I think it's going to change all of our lives in untold ways. I don't think we can even fathom the type of impact this type of technology is going to have on us. Number 5, I think the asset's undervalued, and it is, again, undergoing a process of legitimization by big companies and institutions. Those are my 5 reasons. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this video, and also please don't forget to like and subscribe. I really love making these types of videos, and I aim to put out 2 to 3 videos a week. I also do Sunday lives as well, and also click the notification bell. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate everyone who takes the time out of the day to watch this. Thank you so much. Talk soon and have an amazing day. Trinity out.